If you're new on the channel, this is the Eminem Appreciation series where in each video, I review and explain one of Eminem album. The Slim Shady LP and the Marshall Matters LP that I will call MMLP because it's way too long are already on my channel. If you want to check it out, feel free to do so. I will put them here, or at least try to. In this video, we will be looking into his third album studio, or technically his fourth, The Eminem Show. Side note, in the timeline of my existence, I was finally born when this album was released. Now let's dive in. If there's a 2-year gap between his second and third album, it's because of a few reasons. After releasing the MMLP, M released an album with his group D12 called Devil's Night, which I listened to it and it's kind of good, so if you want to go listen to it, it's on Spotify. He was also filming for the movie 8 Mile, which is based on his life story and was released in 2002. But also because in his personal life, things were moving quite a lot. He got arrested and had to go to court and was also in the middle of officializing his divorce with his then wife Kim. All this drama in his life was the main inspiration for the content in the Eminem Show. This album was so anticipated that the label and Eminem had to release it 25 days prior of the intended release due to illegal downloading and piracy that was happening. So to minimize the collateral damage, Interscope decided to release the album early, and the Eminem Show instantly sold 284 million copies in its first 24 hours. It immediately shot to number 1 on the Billboard 200 and became the best-selling album of 2002. Needless to say, it was a very successful album. It is called The Eminem Show because at the time, Eminem felt like his life resembled to the movie The Truman Show. For those who haven't watched the movie, it's basically a movie where the main character, Truman, was born in a TV set without him knowing his whole life is actually a reality show that the whole world is watching. Eminem felt like every move that he made was analyzed, scrutinized, and to a certain point, he couldn't determine where his private life and public life diverged, since his music that was public was inspired by his personal life. So he decided to lift up the curtain that his life was at that moment, and with his music give us his version of the Truman Show, hence the Eminem Show. Overall, we completely diverge from the horrorcore and pure anger sound of the precedent album. Although it is still very dark and crude, it is more polite with its lyrical content. If Eminem was the king of controversy, on this one he decided to tone it down. He also decided to dabble a little bit more into politics with his lyrics. If there's one thing that feels new in this record, is that it truly feels vulnerable. This is really Marshall. If in the Slim Shady LP and in the MMLP he would let out a glimpse of his life, usually covered up with a defense mechanism like dark humor, in here he lets his real emotion flow and show in his writing. Sonically, on this one, Eminem takes a cinematic approach when it comes to the production of the tracks. It couples perfectly with the idea of the album, which is opening the curtain and giving a show. This is the soundtrack of the show that Eminem's life is. Not only is the music on each song more grandiose, even the skits sounds like they were picked out of a movie. The cartoon voices as well as the gore effects are gone to let place to a more theatrical instrumental. It's like listening to a movie basically. Oh yeah, and Eminem sings like a lot more. The skits will not be explained because, well, they're pretty self-explanatory. White America. The first topic Eminem addresses is the issue of his whiteness. If at the beginning of his career, this seemed to be what held him back because of the genre of music in which he was trying to make it, now it is his color that helped him become so famous, but also is the reason why his music got so much attention and surrounding him, since now suburban white kids can identify with Eminem because they share the same color of skin. Now that the white America has a foot in the hip-hop genre, thanks to Eminem, they give themselves the right to criticize the rapper and the whole genre. This song highlights a major problem in America, which is racism, and how an issue becomes important only when it impacts the white Americans. At the same time, he is impressed by how many people of different color can relate to his music. It's like an army walking behind him. He ends the song making a parallel with Kill You from his previous album, Business.
Marshall, sounds like an SOS.
Holy whack, unlyrical lyrics, Andre!
In this collab with Dr. Dre, the duo portray Batman and Robin. Their mission, you ask? Fight bad lyricism. In a humble way, they rap about how they are both superheroes in the rap industry. Basically, it's a catchy, braggy song where Eminem and Dr. Dre just brag about their talent, Cleaning Out My Closet. This track is one of the most vulnerable and sad tracks of the album. And here, Eminem depicts his childhood, his trauma, and how the non-existent relationship with his parents came to be. He opens up about his feelings on his father leaving him and the abuse that his mother inflicted on him. After exposing his dirty laundry, hence the title of the song, he says, "Welcome to the Eminem Show." His life was so turbulent that it could feel like a drama show, even now that he's all grown. Ultimately, the song is kind of him letting go of the past. Letting go, but not necessarily forgiving, but just not entertaining no more his mother and what she constantly put him through. Although he had a rough childhood, he does promise to never do what his parents did to him to Haley, his daughter. Square Dance. This is the most political song of the album. He also used this song as a way to diss Cannabis, a contemporary rapper with who he had a beef at the time, but honestly it's not that important in this song. It's like really minimal. He talks about his opinion on Bush, back then president of the United States, and how he disapproved of his politics, mainly because of the war that was going on in the Middle East, but also because Bush administration wanted to ban Eminem's music, so naturally, if you know the rapper, he was pissed off. At the time, America was living through a weird time because of the rumors of war since the 9/11 event had just happened a year prior. In an interview, he says that overall this song was a way to say that everything can change in a moment, so might as well enjoy dancing while they can if they ever must go to war. He said, "Everything that is going on in the world, come and square dance with me." Soldier. Centered on his charges for weapon use, he explained his arrest, or more so the reason of why he was carrying guns. He apparently doesn't regret doing what he did, even though he went to court. But apparently that's okay because anyways, his lawyers will probably save his ass. Honestly, this feels like he's condoning owning guns. This is one of his "I want to piss off society" rap. In each verse, he talks about how he will use his weapons and he doesn't really care. But I personally think this song is really like a raw emotion that he felt and just put it into a song, because then we get to the 6th track. Say Goodbye Hollywood. If in the previous track he seemed to not have any regret over his actions, as he reflects a little bit more, he understands the gravity of the situation that he is in, but also he regrets his action. So that's why I say that Soldier was probably just like a reaction to what was happening in the moment, and Say Goodbye Hollywood was a reflection afterwards. On Say Goodbye to Hollywood, he narrates what happened. So basically, a month after the release of his second album, he got arrested because he got into a gun altercation with a bouncer. On one of his kids, The Kiss, we understand that Kim was cheating with the said bouncer of the club, and Marshall was mad, so he got into a fight with him. So that was when the gun altercation happened. But due to his recent release of the highly successful album MMLP, it was heavily
mediatized.
Eminem concludes that the more famous that he gets, the more he loses the right to privacy, but he's also losing his common sense to Hollywood with the power that he has. He traded luxury and fame for no private life and bigger problems. He feels like he trapped himself and his family in this bubble of fame, and he wants to go back. He says he needs to slow down, so he's saying goodbye to Hollywood in order to get his things in order. Drip. In Drips, Obi Trice and Eminem basically had intercourse with the same girl and got an STD. The song describes how they met the girl and how they had like intercourse with her, and basically how they got an STD. Without Me. It was the first single release for this album, and to me it exists in the same universe or realm as My Name Is and The Real Slim Shady. It is a Slim Shady infused song, so it's a fun song that basically encapsulates the album in a funny way. Slims tell the public that society actually needs him, otherwise it will feel empty without him. He's here to save culture. The video clip is Rap Boy aka Slim Shady saving a kid from listening to his album. Sing for the Moment. Using a sample of Dream On by Aerosmith, which to make it short is basically a "you only live once" type of song. Sing On is a reflection on his influence on society. As he has said before, people constantly blame him for being a bad influence on white young Americans. But once again, Eminem reminds us that his words are just words, and if people relate, it is not him who is responsible for the action of others. He also repeats that he comes from nothing, and all of this is very overwhelming to him. He is aware of his impact, but he got to live while he can and be grateful for what he has. This is art, and it's his way to channel his emotions. In this song, Eminem depicts his many sexual encounters and conquest of women. He is in his whole phase after finalizing his divorce with Kim. He wants no strings attached. He cannot be any girl's Superman because he just went through like literally a marriage of just living hell. But he says that maybe one day he'll want to find someone that he wants to spend the rest of his life with, but not for the moment. Like that is not his state of mind right now. He just want to live his best single life. Haley's song. This song is dedicated to Haley, Marshall's daughter, as you can guess by its title. This is a track in which Marshall, who says that he cannot sing, unfortunately sings, and it's awful. He sings the most in this track because he loved his daughter so much that he would do anything for her, even if it means putting the listener through the hell that it was listening to this song. In his lyrics, Marshall reveals that his life is not always easy and he has different problems to carry on his shoulders. But as long as he has his baby, Haley, he has a reason to continue and fight for her. It's a very sweet song, but it's just awful to listen. I'm sorry, I have to say it. When the Music Stop is a collaboration with D12. Each rapper vent on their own problems on their verse, and if we focus on the idea of when the music stop, it's basically not to take their words too seriously when they sing, because at the end of the track, the music stop and reality is different than what they're saying. Say What You Say is a collab with Dr. Dre, who is telling the public that he is not out of the game. He just doesn't need to be as active because he has already secured a spot as a legend in the rap industry. The two rappers address some beef that they got with other people in the industry, and Eminem starts saying that he is so controversial because he was born to be controversial due to his upbringing. Long story short, the two rappers warn the industry that if they're going to say whatever they want to say, they can do it, but they have to expect that clap back. Till I Collapse. In an interview to promote his album, Eminem explained that this song is about getting the respect that he deserves in the industry. Because of his complexion, a lot of other rappers didn't take him seriously. Eminem feels like throughout his career, he hasn't gotten the respect he deserves, and at the time, there was this list of best hip-hop or rap artists, if I'm not wrong. Even if he was getting an impressive reception from the public and breaking records, he still wasn't put on this list. However, this won't stop him. He won't stop making music because it is his magic, his fuel, and he will stop at nothing until he gets its respect and that he can show that he really has talent and it's not just because he happens to be white. Finally, the last song of this album, My Dad's Gone Crazy. The last song of Eminem's albums usually conclude the whole thing by being a fun and crazy song in which Eminem just retakes multiple of his themes and play with them in the song while reminding us that he is a madman with his lyrics. This is no exception, except that it's a collab with his then 6-year-old daughter, Haley Jade. And oh my god, all I gotta say, it's cuteness overload because her little voice is so cute. Basically, Eminem got inspired by her catchphrase,
"Somebody please help him. I think my dad's gone crazy,"
and decided to build around that, and it's just so adorable. I love it. This album really shows growth. We hear a man who has had time to reflect on his music instead of just impulsively react and write out of like anger. For the first time, he is thinking before delivering an answer to the American society and to the press. I personally think that this album is a more professional and beautiful record, but overall the MMLP was just pure musical genius. I gotta say though that I really love the production of this album. It really feels like you're entering a movie theater to listen to the Eminem Show. It's a clean violence and in which you see the professional growth of a man. The only thing that I didn't quite enjoy is that I feel like we start the album very strongly with tracks that are really good, and then we just go down and then we go up again at the end. But I feel like it was just weak in the middle, or at least not to my taste. A fun fact to know is that actually Eminem kind of produced almost all of the instrumental or like music of this album, and honestly I really have to congratulate him because I feel like the production was really good and he really made us feel whatever it was that he wanted to make us feel. So I really love this album. I will put my rating. I cannot wait to see you for the next album. The next album will be the Encore. If you love this series, if you have anything to say, just comment down below. Subscribe to the channel, like it, share it. I will see you again with another Eminem album the next time. Bye.